They've been underdogs. They continue to be underdogs. They're 6-3-1 against the spread as a dog, so they're good in that position. I've had several 5% wagers on them over the last month.
Welcome to Stoppage Time, the final show of 2023, and it has been a great season of football in Europe and in North America as well. We're going to cover 3 EPL games this weekend. We're going to look at Tottenham, Everton, West Ham, Man United in the early fixture, which is always a surprising one on Saturdays. And we're going to finish it off with a battle for the top spot heading into the winter break. Liverpool and Arsenal. With me from WagerTalk.com, Pavlos, Nick Borman, and Kevin Dolan. Kev, I'm going to go to you first. As always, it is a surprise. I am north of the border in Canada. No snow north of Toronto, but you woke up no. And you've been shoveling, man, and you're also shoveling out winners. A quick word from you on how things are going before we get going.
Yes, I had to shovel off the snow off the car this morning. Not the most ideal job. We had lawns last night in French League One. I don't want to talk about it. The goal disallowed for offside, and then the ball came off the post and hit the goalkeeper's knee, and it was all types of, comedy errors, and then Nice get a penalty at the other end. So that wasn't particularly good, but been going good overall. So, happy to see, we're coming back into a weekend where we can pick up some more EPL winners and, get back at it.
And let's see, Kevin, we're going to go right to it. Let's see if we can pick up a winner here, because you had faith in this team, and you also had a lot of faith in the coach of the other team. And we're talking Spurs, we're talking Everton. Tottenham minus 124 in this game. The draw is plus 319. Everton plus 293. Spurs with a couple of wins, Kev, to get back into that race for a top 4 spot. And I think there are a couple of games in which they really needed to win just to get that mojo back that they seem to have lost over a short stretch of games. And then a team like Everton, and you did say once this team started to get healthy and they would start to get a little bit better. 4 games on the balance, 4 wins, 8 goals scored, 4 clean sheets for this Toffee side. Tell us where you're going with this one.
Fairly straightforward handicap for me, Carm. Tottenham seem to have put the worst of the season behind them. Back-to-back wins now over the last 2 starts. They had that, blowout victory against Newcastle. I like the way Postecoglou's been kind of trying to patch up, things that he can fix on the pitch. Kulusevski and Son seem to be linking up well right now. Richarlison, he scored more goals in his last 2 games than he did in his previous 39. So, will wonders never cease there. So, as I say, I like the way Postecoglou's trying to, use different tactics, formations, and trying to have that link-up play in midfield. It seems to be working over that short game sample size. Despite all those injuries Tottenham are currently suffering. And, they face an Everton team in this one who, you mentioned their 4 straight victories, not only going for their 5th straight league victory here, but pretty unbelievably their 5th straight road victory as well. I was reading stats. I think it's the first time since 1971 or something. So I'm actually pretty optimistic. We talked about this a couple of months ago about me saying Everton might turn a corner because I have that 50-1 ticket on them to win the FA Cup. So, fingers crossed there, given the way they're currently playing. But, that said, in terms of this game, Everton did play that Carabao Cup game, League Cup game in midweek against Fulham. Extended time in that one as well due to it going to penalty. So, potentially we see some tired legs on display here. Tottenham's defence still suffering with those injuries as well. And in terms of data, both teams ranked top 10 in the league in total shots per game. Both teams ranked top 10 in shots on target. Both teams ranked top 5 in set-piece goal creation also. And we've seen an average of 3.14 goals per game scored across these 2 teams' last 7 head-to-heads in this venue. And that was back when Everton were struggling to score. Not the case now. So I like the over 3 goals here on Saturday, Carmine. It hasn't made my card as of yet, but if I am going to fire on this one, the over 3 goals is definitely going to be the way I'm going to look.
All right, Kevin Dolan, WagerTalk, and Kev. Before I go to Nick here, it's one of those things, and I don't have the data for it, but I always seem to believe the final games before these teams head into the winter break, maybe the defense and defending takes a back seat in these games. We'll see if that happens, but I have to admit, you talked about Richarlison, and I like the guy, and it was great to see him score. And then he did the. I guess it was the rooster dance or whatever after he scored the goal. And he's looking good. And I think when the goal went in, for a second there, he was actually shocked that he had actually scored in that game. I'm not sure if you saw the highlights or watched the game of that one.
Yeah, I caught the highlights. All right, yeah.
All right, Nick, I am going to give you the chance to rebut a rebuttal of Kevin in this one, because I think you might be going a slightly different way in this one.
Well, I don't have a direct rebuttal on Kevin in this game. I have a sneaky suspicion I might later, but in this one, I'm just going to go a different direction with the side, and I like the Toffees. I mean, a lot of it comes down to defense, which I'll get into in a second, but Kevin mentioned how good Everton is playing right now. 4 straight wins, 4 straight clean sheet wins. A couple good teams in there, Chelsea and Newcastle. They seem to have a point to prove. You know, after that 10-point deduction knocked them into the relegation zone, they quickly picked their way back out of that and 10 more points there total. I mean, they're not too far away from those European spots. So they've been playing great. For me, they've been a bet-on team for a couple months now. If you look at expected goals, like I know a lot of us do, and expected points is, kind of where their table position would be based on expected goals, they rank a lot higher than their actual results have been. Meaning, it doesn't mean it's going to predict any game, but generally over a long period of time, those results start to even out, and we're clearly seeing that now from Everton in the run that they're in. They've been underdogs. They continue to be underdogs. They're 6-3-1 against the spread as a dog, so they're good in that position. I've had several 5% wagers on them over the last month at, catching a quarter of a goal against, at home against Chelsea. I think against Newcastle was another one, or maybe it was Brighton, I forget. But they were easy. Not only cashes, they won the game. So I like the way they're playing. I like the confidence they have. And what it comes down to me right now in fading the Spurs is defense. Kevin mentioned some of the injuries they have going on, and the results show as far as the data goes. They've allowed 23 goals, which I guess isn't terrible, but 29.2 expected goals is a lot more than Everton, who sit at 24.8. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're getting a head start of 3/4 of a goal on the goal line, which is what we're looking at right now on Everton, it's hard for me to pass that up. I never trust a team defensively that's poor to lay any sort of goals. I don't always fade them, but I think this is a good spot to do so. I just like the way Everton's playing. If this was +1 full goal, I mean, this would be a 5% hammer play for me at +3/4 of a goal. I still like it. It's most likely going to be on my card this weekend. And, just to remind everybody that +3/4 of a goal line, if they do lose by 1 goal here, it's just a half goal loss. So I like it for that reason as well. I think that line's going to move, and we're going to get a pure half a goal soon, if not already. So if you can get the +3/4 of a goal, I think it's a good bet. But I do like Everton to keep this close and get something out of this match.
All right, this should be a good one. Nick, Pavlos, I'm going to give you the final word on this, and then I've got a great promo for you guys tuning in to watch this one for all the guys on today's show. But Pavlos, give us the final word on this one, because I have a feeling I know where you're going here, but I need to hear it from you.
Okay, this is a very tough match to read. There are several reasons why this is a very tough match to read. Everton just played the EFL Cup quarterfinal a couple of days ago, and they used starters. And not only did they use starters, but the match went to penalty kicks. So, that's some added fatigue to the players. And I generally don't, back teams up on such a short turnaround. Well, Tottenham, they're not healthy, but they're more fresh. And I just don't want to pick a side here, because I would go with Tottenham, but Everton, now that they're out of the EFL Cup, they have very little to fight for. They're out of the relegation zone, but they need to keep on fighting. And Tottenham, as you guys said, they're missing some key components in the defense. Now Doggy is their starting left back is out. So I think there's going to be goals here, but Everton have a tendency to maybe slow things down a little bit, and I'm not so sure how Postecoglou will approach this match. Maybe he will try to sit back and minimize the danger in his defense. So I don't like sides, I don't like totals, but what I do like is a card prop, and it's none other than Cristian Romero, the guy that made us so much money a couple of seasons ago. He's been carded in 3 of the last 4 matches against Everton, so he's good for cards, and the price is pretty massive if you ask me. If you go at FanDuel right now, you can find Cristiano Romero to be booked at plus 210. And if you've been watching the Spurs in the past couple of seasons, you know that he's a guy that lunges onto opponents with no regard for human life. He gets red cards, yellow cards. He can either, it's either he's gonna make the match of his career. He's gonna do everything perfectly, or he's gonna be suspended or get a card. So I think, because this is not an easy match for Tottenham, and I think Everton will give them a run for their money, especially in the defense, I think Romero is gonna have his hands full in this match. So give me Romero to be carded plus 210. I think that's excellent value there.
Right. I love that one, Pavlos. Guys, before we get to the West Ham and Man United game that goes at 7:30 Eastern time, the always tricky early feature from the UK, I want to mention a promo. You can use the code STOP23. STOP23 is going to get you $300 off. That's right, $300 off a full 1-year soccer all access package. That normally goes for $9.99. $9.99, that drops it down to $6.99. That's like $1.91 a day of soccer, and there's soccer every single day of the year. So it is a great deal. And you're looking at 2024. We've got all the domestic leagues that will finish in May and then pick up again in August. You have the MLS in North America, which runs through the summer. You have this year. From Germany, we have the Euro 2024. We have Copa America that will take place in North America. Just a ton of soccer, daily soccer, $1.91 a day. Stop 23, $300 off that all access package that for soccer that's available for any of the guys on this show. And that coupon is good only until the end of 2023. So December 31st, take advantage of that. All right. Talking about taking an advantage, Kevin, we have West Ham and Man United. West Ham plus 157, the draw plus 262, Man United plus 161. We got plus prices right across the board here, Kev. Does West Ham take advantage of the injuries on this Man United squad? You look at it, and there's quite a long list. It almost looks like a CVS receipt when you go in there. It is so large. Not much separates these two, Kev. 7th and 8th, a point apart. Give me your thoughts on this one.
My thoughts are going to be brief, Carmine, because I nearly had a seizure talking about Manchester United last week, so I'll keep this one short. Look, going back to last week's game against Liverpool, United were completely outplayed in that game. 0-0 on the surface, but Liverpool were all over them. 34 attempts on goal, United had 6. 12 corner kicks to United 0. 100 dangerous attacks compared with just 22 for United. United have 45 clearances in that game as well. I mean, they were completely, under the cosh for almost the entire 90 minutes. So I don't tend to let, results like that change my power rankings all that much. United dodged the bullet in that game. And I'm going to continue to fade them based on their, underlying numbers this year. Bottom half in offensive scoring this year, bottom half in shots on target. They're tied for bottom 3 in goals scored from open play, bottom half in offensive XG, bottom 5 in defensive XG. I mean, the list just goes on and on with this team. Look, blood pressure's rising again. And look, while West Ham have certainly been no world beaters this season, they did look good last week against Wolves, I thought. I thought the Wolves goal maybe, could have stood and whatnot. I had the both teams to score in that game. But I thought West Ham looked good in the other end. And they've lost just one of the last 10 games at home across all competitions as well. So I don't buy into that 0-0 result against Liverpool last week. If any competent striker was in Darwin Núñez's position in that game, Liverpool likely win it 2 or 3-0. Even Salah and Szoboszlai had numerous opportunities early to put that game to bed. So, yeah, I'm quite happy to take West Ham in this one at a straight pick and price on Saturday. So, yeah, West Ham pick minus 110.
I agree with you on that. I think you draw a line through that Liverpool Man United game at 0-0. and chalk it up to Liverpool not being able to finish more so than United putting in a good effort. They came looking for a draw. I don't think they wanted to lose 7-0 in that one, Nick, like they did in one of their previous visits. Give me your thoughts on this one. Let me know which way you're looking.
Yeah, United let up 34 shots to Liverpool in that match, so it certainly wasn't because they played well. I guess the one argument you might be able to make for United is maybe some freshness. The Hammers are coming off that Carabao Cup quarterfinals loss to Liverpool on Wednesday. They did rotate a little, but it was still a relatively strong starting 11. So I guess that's the one area I would say the Red Devils have a little bit of an advantage, but everything else points to West Ham, as Kevin mentioned. Away from home, United really been struggling. They got 5 losses between the Premier League and the Champions League, though their schedule has been pretty tough. I'll give them that. I mean, you got Tottenham, you got Arsenal, Bayern, Newcastle, Liverpool. They are in that draw, of course, we already mentioned. So, can't expect a lot from some of those matches. Their 4 wins did come against the weak sides. You got Burnley, Sheffield, and Fulham, plus a win at Everton, which, as we mentioned last game, is not necessarily a weak side. But even in those 4 wins, they had a minus 0.2 expected goal differential, and that's kind of telling or alarming for me. That just suggests that, okay, well, they got the job done, but they aren't really always creating more chances in those games, even against weaker competition. Those are games that they should be controlling. And if you're not, sure, you can get results. Sometimes luck goes your way. Sometimes you make your shots and the other team just doesn't, right? But eventually, if you're not creating the chances and you're not the team controlling that game, it's going to come back to bite you. So it worries me. If you can't dominate, let's say, the weaker teams in this league, you're not going to keep up with the decent team in this league. And West Ham's a good mid-table team. I mean, clearly they're playing in Europe right now, so they have the capabilities of performing. So, they've been very strong at home too. They got 2 losses, Man City, of course, and that pesky Everton again. Though they may be tired, I just don't see them losing this match. I agree with Kevin, so I like his idea of taking them on the pick 'em. That way, if it's a draw, you're fine. I'll add in another way to look at this is you can take West Ham on the double chance, which is win or tie. Of course, that line by itself is 2-1 minus 200 or worse. So not by itself is it a good play, but if you pair it with under 3.5 goals, you can get plus 120 right now. I'm seeing, which is a pretty good price. And I say the under because I don't see a lot of action here. I think both teams are good enough to kind of thwart the other. And then the history between the two in the last 12 meetings between the sides, only twice has these meetings finished over 3.5, and one of those was a cup match. So West Ham double chance for the same reasons Kevin said. I'll add in under 3.5 goals to try to keep the price decent at plus 120.
All right, so Pavlos, I'm going to give you the final word on this one. And I mentioned, the omissions for United: Casemiro out, Delo out, Diallo out, Eriksson, Maguire, Malacia, Martinez, Mount, and of course Sancho's a coach's decision. He won't be playing this year if he doesn't get moved. Lindelof and Martial are on the questionable list. Now, there's only probably a couple guys that I mentioned there that are would be actual starters, but it's more about the depth on the bench and not having them in the second half to bring them in. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, this is a tricky match, and I'm actually the only reason that Ten Hag has still a job is because he got that draw at Liverpool. Any other result, a loss would have probably got him fired. But he's still there. United are still struggling. But I do see West Ham taking something from this match. But and I'm gonna, I might receive, some hate mail for this, but this might be a turning point for United. Don't quote me on that one, but after a draw against Liverpool, maybe, just maybe, they can turn the season around. So I'm not touching a side here. I'm not touching a total, but what I'm gonna touch is a player prop, and I'm gonna take Mohamed Kudus, the guy from West Ham, to score a certain target. That's minus 135 at FanDuel. I think that's a fair price for a player that's been, he's been stuck at Ajax for many years. He's not that old. He's 23 years old, but he really wanted out. He's one of the players in that generation of Ajax players who were sold off, to pretty much all the big teams in Europe, and he was one of the last, 2 or 3 remaining players in that squad that really wanted out. So he got his move, 43 million or so to West Ham. So he's been really a really great addition for West Ham. I think he has 12 goal contributions in 22 matches for West Ham across all competitions this season. He scored twice against Wolves last week. He's been scoring and he's been testing his foot in the sense that he isn't shy to get a long shot from outside the box or from inside the box. He's a very good and very influential player for this West Ham side, and I think at least one shot on target he can do so, especially with Manchester United missing so many players, especially at the back. A 35-year-old Johnny Evans is going to start at centre back and looks like a former player. Varane hasn't played good soccer in like 2 seasons. Once Bissaka is mediocre at best. So I think Mohamed Kudus will be able to score, to record just one shot on goal. I think he's going to score, to be honest. But I'm taking it slowly. I'm just going to take Mohamed Kudus to record just one or more shots on target, minus 135 at FanDuel.
All right, there you go. The final word on West Ham and Man United from Pavlos. I got those guys. Let's head into the third and final game and the marquee game of the weekend. If there's an outright winner in this game, they will go into the winter break as leaders. Otherwise, it could very well be Aston Villa. Kev, I'm going to go to you. Liverpool 139 plus 139, draw plus 262, Arsenal plus 185. Where are you going here?
Pretty much going to go back to what I said in the last breakdown, Carm, in regards to not changing my power rankings all that much based on last week's games. Liverpool bar that fluke draw, we just mentioned against Manchester United last week. They've looked sensational at home this season. 7 wins from 7 games. Their previous 7 games, as I say, they've outscored opponents 21 goals to 5 across that run. Offensive XG, number 1 at home. They've accumulated the most shots on target, the most set piece and counter-attacking goals scored as well. And, even their defensive numbers at home have been rock solid this year. Top 3 in goals allowed, top 3 in defensive XGA, top 3 in goals allowed from open play as well. So, Arsenal was around the plus 200 mark prior to last weekend for this game. Now we're seeing, plus 180, plus 185, as you mentioned. Money just keeps coming in on Arsenal. That's pretty unjustified, in my opinion. We saw Liverpool rotate quite heavily in the second half of their cup game in midweek against West Ham, so I don't see that being a major concern. On the other side, in terms of Arsenal beating Brighton last week, we talked about that game on this show. I, took Arsenal in that game. I mentioned that it was a terrible spot for Brighton, given they'd likely put everything they had into beating Marseille just a few days prior. So, again, I think the move is unjustified. I think this line's been clipped in just a little too much based on some fairly non-reflective results last week. And with Liverpool coming in right now at a pick-em price at most books, coming down to around minus 130, I'm more than happy to take Liverpool here at home off pick-em in Saturday's game at Anfield.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, Kev. Unbeaten at home this season, 7 wins, 1 draw through 8 match days at home, 21-5 goal differential for them. Nick, give me your thoughts on this one.
I finally, after it's been a couple of weeks, but I finally have a chance to go at Kevin because I disagree here. I think Arsenal is the side to play, and it's not that I truly want to fade Liverpool. I just think if you look purely at their results, especially at home, I take their entire record at home with a grain of salt. I mean, who have they played? Aston Villa is the only team in the top 6 of the Premier League that they've played at home. So I don't care about any of those results. Truly, it doesn't matter to me. It's nothing compared to what Arsenal will be. Now, that being said, Arsenal does have a couple of losses, on the road this year. They had the tough 1-0 loss to Newcastle, and by the same score to the aforementioned Aston Villa, and along with the Champions League match to Kevin's apparently new favorite side, Lens. So they could slip up here. It does have me, because of those results and what this game could play out, it does also have me looking at the under, which is 2 3/4 goals. But I think there's a good chance that Arsenal will get something from this match, which you can get. Kevin mentioned you can get the pick and price at minus 130 for Liverpool. You can also get the plus quarter of a goal price on Arsenal for about that same number, maybe minus 125, maybe minus 135, depending on your books, but call it an average of the same, minus 130. And that gives you the opportunity to cash if it's a draw, or obviously a Arsenal win. I mentioned this in one of the other matches, but defense, right? I just don't trust defenses that aren't, if there's two teams in the field, I always kind of gear towards the better defense, especially if they're getting a head start. And if you look at the results on this season, it looks like they're similar, right? Liverpool, Arsenal both have allowed 15 goals in the Premier League, but by comparison, Liverpool has allowed over 22 expected goals, more than 5.5 more than Arsenal. And that does, to me, suggest some regression at some point. Maybe it's not this game, but that there could be some regression coming for the Reds on the defensive side somewhere down the line. Bottom line, though, I mean, it's really hard for me to separate these two teams. I don't give Liverpool a huge advantage here being at home, just because I don't think we've seen them tested yet at home. So I'm just kind of going to grab the head start on Arsenal and think of a game that, literally I think either team could win and it could end in a draw. So this gives us, taking the plus quarter of a goal line, gives us several ways to still cash our bet. I just don't think it's a straightforward Liverpool win or that they're the right side.
All right, Nick Borman of WagerTalk. Pavlos, I'm going to give you the final word on the three games today. And Nick mentioned it's something I talk about on Puck Time with my co-host Andrew McInnes, which is, strength of scheduling. But I also believe at times that you can only beat who they put in front of you. Liverpool, through all competitions this season at home, 12 wins, 1 draw. 10 of those games have had at least 3 goals scored in them. The only game that had no goals scored in it was the aforementioned Man United Liverpool game. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I like goals here, but as usual, I don't go big on matches like this because anything can happen in terms of goals, sides, cards, corners, you name it. Anything can happen. It's really, we're just reading stats and have a hunch, and my hunch says that there's going to be goals here. I like the over 2.75 goals, mainly because Liverpool haven't been able to keep many clean sheets so far in the season. On the other hand, Arsenal on the road, they don't really open up that much, but when they do, they open up a lot. And I think, because traditionally this is a matchup that features, a lot of goals. I mean, especially in this venue, we've seen 3-3 draws, 4-4 draws, even 5-5 in the AFL Cup in 2019. It was a 5-5 draw. I think there's going to be goals here. Don't go crazy on it. I like the over 2.75 goals here. And usually I went back to like 3-4 seasons, and so who's scoring? Are there cards? There are not many cards between the two, and it's usually Jota who scores for Liverpool, but he's going to be absent. Salah doesn't really score that much goals against Arsenal, probably because Arteta knows too well, how Salah is going to damage. It's going to do some damage if you're not careful. So I think he throws more players trying to block what Salah does, but now that I'm speaking about Salah, keep in mind, guys, and this is not for the EPL alone. The Africa Cup of Nations starts on January 11th and goes until February 11th. So there is 1 month where a lot of African players will be missing from their sides, Salah included. So this doesn't really apply to this match, but keep in mind that there's going to be a whole lot of players missing for that competition. So bet accordingly, especially, for example, Leverkusen have 5 players of their 5 starters that are going to be missing for that. So I think the teams that know that are going to be missing players are surely going to want to grab as many points as they can before, for example, Liverpool are going to miss Salah. It's a huge blow for them. So maybe they go all in for a win against Arsenal and just push them out of the title race, because a win here would put Liverpool in the top spot, and who knows, Arsenal, they have West Ham after this, so maybe they can keep dropping points. So I like the over here. I think Arsenal won't, roll over and take it. I think they're going to score. Maybe both teams are scoring over 2.5 goals, but I think I'll take the over 2.75 goals here, minus 115. I think, worst case scenario, there's 3 goals here and we still get half a win. So I like that.
All right. I like that as well, and a good forewarning as well too, Pavlos, on the players. Guys, before we get into our recap and see what the guys have up at WagerTalk, just a quick reminder once again on that promo use the code STOP23. STOP23 is going to get you $300 off a 1-year soccer all access package. That includes everything: 5% plays, props, sides, totals. Regularly $9.99, $6.99. It's less than $2 a day, and there's soccer every single day of the year with competitions like obviously the domestic leagues, Champions League, Europa League. This coming year in the summer, where there's hardly anything going on, you've got the Euro 2024 from Germany. You have the Copa America happening in the US. Just a ton of action, and you can get it all for less than $2 a day from your favorite capper. So use that, and that code is good until the 31st of this month, December. Kevin, we're going to have a look at your leans. Tell us what you have up at WagerTalk.
Yeah, we got a great deal up right now at WagerTalk. Carm, no coupon code needed. It's direct on my page. And that's rugby. The Major League Rugby season kicks off at the start of March. And instead of waiting around for the season to start, we've started the season promo offer early. 33 and 18 run right now in rugby. We hit almost 70% in the recent World Cup as well. And $99 for the MLR season gets you not only the full MLR season in 2024, but we're going to start that offer early, 3 months absolutely free. European Champions Cup going on right now, European domestic season, Six Nations starts in February as well. So all rolled into one. Get everything across every competition from now until the end of the Major League Rugby season for only $99. Takes us most of the way through 2024. And that's honestly one of the deepest discounts we've ever done at WagerTalk. So, excited for that.
Any packages up for this weekend, or what do you plan on loading up for clients this coming weekend?
We've already got all our soccer plays loaded right now at my page.
All right, there you go, guys. Head over to WagerTalk and click on Kevin's page. You can find everything there. Nick, we'll go to you next. Leans are up on the screen, and we'll have let us know what you have up at WagerTalk.
Sure. We have a 5% play in the Premier League on Boxing Day. So that's the day after Christmas. We're already loaded and ready to go. 6-0 run on 5% soccer plays. Been a good run overall. Number one soccer last 2.5 months, dating back to the beginning of October. And just trying to catch Pavlos in that regard. He's been red hot. So slowly gaining on him. But it's been good. And I have a couple plays in Serie A and Premier League up for this weekend. Those are the only two leagues in action this weekend.
All right, and best of luck to you on that big play. Nick, Pavlos, close it out. Let us know what you have up at WagerTalk.
Yeah, I do have a best bet for Friday in the EPL. Number one in EPL profit so far this season with plus 16.34 units. Plus 200 units of profit in soccer in 2023, so it's been going amazing. I do have two more plays in the EPL on Saturday, and one more play in the Portuguese league that I think is going to be a winner, but I'm going to load it afterwards. So I have one play in the EPL, in the Serie A, and in the La Liga for this weekend, and one more that might be loaded in the Portuguese league. So that's it for the weekend, and we go day by day for the following days because there's going to be action in every single day until the start of the new year. So super excited about that.
All right. Best of luck to you, Pavlos. Keep running well. Of course, myself, I'll have a big EPL card this weekend, and of course, Serie A this final weekend before everyone heads into the winter break. Guys, this is our final show of 2023. We want to thank you guys for always tuning in and watching. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what your best bet is this weekend, whether you agree or disagree with our plays. And of course, while you're there, hit that like button and the subscribe button. We'll see you in the new year. From myself and the WagerTalk family, guys, have a safe and happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2024.